Waters.
Here.
Moore.
Here.
O'Kane.
Here.
Shaner. Scott.
Here, please stand for a moment of silent prayer followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have no proclamations, we have no interviews, so we'll go right to the consent agenda, items 2 through 10C. Consider them to pass unanimously unless a separate roll call vote is requested by a council member. If you want to speak on an agenda item, please come up at the time I read that. Remember, if you come to the podium, to always state your name and address for the record. If you have an item not on the agenda, please come up under citizen concerns. I'll move the consent agenda.
Second.
2 is the reading of the March 18th City Council minutes. 3 is a resolution authorizing the police department to apply for a grant to fund a license plate reader camera system. I'm probably the only guy that wonders whether we should do this, but I know technology is a thing of the future, but
Ryan Bertrand, Captain, Sioux City PD.
I mean, before Lisa left, she wanted cameras that could get you for speeding and running a red light. Where does it all end?
This particular camera system has absolutely nothing to do with enforcing law enforcement in the sense of it's not doing automatic traffic violations or anything like that.
I know what it is.
We are, unfortunately or fortunately, however you look at it, in an age of new technology, we're trying to leverage this great technology. South Sioux, as you are aware, has the flock system. I just saw an article or a write-up in the Journal where they're praising their effectiveness. I can tell you in the minutes before I came here, I was looking, utilizing the system which South Sioux does share their cameras with us to help identify a suspect vehicle from something that happened this weekend, as quick as that. So it is, in doing the research and doing the preparation for this, it is so effective. So I think it leverages technology awesome. I think it'd be a great thing for the citizens in the city. Obviously, it gives us a chance to broaden. When we can't be in a place, the camera's there 24/7, doesn't get tired, doesn't need a break. It just keeps out there and just keeps generating info for us. So I think it would be
And this is allowed in Iowa.
yes. Yes, it is.
It sounded, I forget if it was in the write-up or memo or maybe that article as well, just that it's been pretty effective in South Sioux in at least catching different suspects or tracking different things down for a range of different crimes, not necessarily traffic violations, but things that were much more egregious or higher level offenses. Sounded like it had been pretty effective.
I can give you an example. There was, if you guys remember, the pretty heinous murder that occurred over in North Sioux. We were looking for the suspect. The suspect was at large. It wasn't a Sioux City crime per se, but it was the South Sioux flock cameras that broke open that case and made a key lead in finding the suspect in that, because the person who was shepherding around the suspect in that case was picked up on a South Sioux camera, and that allowed detectives to re-interview her and confront her with some false statements that she had made, which led to the apprehension of that murder suspect in that case. We've also had, it's starting to get exponential now. I mean, there's so many stories now. We've caught some, many Sioux City victims that we've caught just using South Sioux cameras, because as you know, people may commit a crime here and they flee right away to South Sioux trying to escape our law enforcement. And of course, South Sioux has cameras there and they're picking those people up. So
the mayor doesn't necessarily have to worry about the speeding violations and stuff.
I'm not worried about that. I know that they're using them for other things, and not everybody in South Sioux is excited about it as our police department is. That's all I'm saying. They're using them for more than what is being said here, and that concerns me. I think we have enough people watching over us. I'm not some conspiracy guy that worries about everything, but I don't want an overreach on the part of government either. I don't think that's fair to citizens that are.
the cameras, Mayor, are, for example, they're all in public locations. The cameras are not aimed in any location where the public doesn't have right to be. So there's no secret technology at.
No, I get all that. I get all that.
It's very much on the up and up. Over 3,000 law enforcement agencies in the nation have them, over 100 schools. I've also presented this as a possibility to Sioux City schools.
So what if you don't get the grant?
If we don't get the grant, we are going to have to look for funding. This is the bottom line. The hope with this is, as you can see, it's a year period. I think definitely there'd be proof of concept and feasibility would be established for that first year. If it is everything that I do believe it will be, then obviously it's going to be a matter of making the case for the city to fund it or find some other funding source for it. So South Sioux has approximately 39 cameras right now that they have. So I think they're obviously constantly reevaluating, numbers of cameras and locations of cameras. That's part of an ongoing system and continued development and reallocation of resources. But ballpark, these cameras run about $3,000 a camera, ballpark. They're one of the more affordable systems that's out there. There's a place that's got cameras in South Dakota called Vigilant. They're about $7,000 a camera. So these guys are actually one
I
of
think
the
what
more
we've
affordable
learned with
options.
cameras, doesn't matter what it is. You got to have storage.
Handled by the company.
Exactly, for a fee. So the initial cost of the camera may not mean anything. It's that storage that we're finding with your cameras, which is an unknown, which.
The camera cost is known up front. They
Right.
handle all the data, they handle all the equipment, they handle if there's any malfunction, break of the equipment, they take care of all of that. It's nothing to.
And they do the storage for that 3,000.
They do, storage is included with that as well.
Okay,
And this grant will cover just at least the initial, so you're hoping then it would be proof of concept and we can establish or assess it at that time.
Correct. Yep, correct.
why aren't you applying with the county? I'm just curious because this would be a valuable tool for them as well.
We are, in fact, county is they're with us jointly on this deal here. So
Where are you going to put them in the county?
we have some locations that are out on Highway 20. There's a camera location that's been identified near Moville, but near Moville Blacktop. We have some areas outside of the city that are identified for county placement as well. So it'll be a joint venture with the county. The more systems and the more cameras that are on the network, the more power this is, obviously. One of the things you should know, Sioux, a private business, has recently adopted flock cameras. So I was out to the mall this weekend, and just as a test, I ran my vehicle through there and came right up. So they're using it obviously as a proactive loss prevention tool for their private business. I could see an expansion in our area where I heard about a crime over the weekend in Whispering Creek, which has only a couple entrances in and out. The whole community could be covered with just a couple of these cameras. So if there's anybody causing problems, they'd also be picked up. Beth Shalom, the Jewish synagogue, recently had a suspicious activity call at their place. They have a private license plate reader system. When they called to make the complaint of the suspicious activity, they showed us the license plate read. They had the suspect vehicle identified in a matter of minutes, and we were able to talk to the person and find out what was going on almost immediately. So real powerful tool for us, and I think would be a win for the city. Thank you.
Thank you. 4 is a resolution adopting plans and specs for the 6121 Pershing Street parking lot overlay project. 5 is a resolution inviting proposals for an electric easement for the combined Central Sioux City CBD urban renewal area and announcing the intent to accept the proposal of Mid-America Energy and scheduling a hearing at property at 529 Pierce Street. It seems like that's already done. Why are we doing this late in the day? You can answer it later, it's no big deal. 6 are actions relating to bonds, resolution electing classification and procedures for the proposed bond or note projects. What's that? Yeah.
Question. On the front end, when Mid-American identifies an easement area that they're interested in, there's usually a notice of intent that's signed by the city manager indicating that the city will likely enter into the easement arrangement. So that precedes it by about a year, usually. When they finalize the area survey, then it comes to the council for final approval.
They used to put that stuff underground and not take up parking stalls, but
Sounds like from the homework, this one's currently in the library, is that correct? It's on the interior of the library? Colin would know.
Yeah, but they used to build vaults. They didn't ever have them above ground. We just made their job a lot easier and cheaper.
Helen Rigdon, Library Director. Yeah, it was housed in what we called the Mid-America room down in the lower level. They were always setting our alarms off if they came in after hours to get into the room. When this happened, we were not notified. Stan brought them in and just told us that it was going to happen, and then they moved it out there. I assumed equipment that's in our basement it's not hooked up. I would assume it's just sitting there.
Well, then they should get it out because that's their transformer.
I agree, but yeah, we haven't been involved in the procedure, so.
Tell Stan to get that out, Bob.
Thank you.
Items 6B to F are resolution scheduling a hearing on the issuance of general obligation bonds. 7 are actions relating to agreements and contracts. A is a resolution approving renewal option 1 to the management agreement with ABM Industry Groups for the airport and downtown parking facilities. B is a resolution approving a work order number 2023-6 for RS&H for the runway and taxiway rehabilitation project at the airport. C is a resolution approving a contract to G Asphalt for the runway and taxiways rehabilitation project at the airport. D is a resolution approving a consulting services agreement with CMBA Architects for the terminal roof replacement project at the airport. E is a resolution approving an engagement agreement with Allers and Cooney to provide services related to the construction manager at risk process for the wastewater treatment plant facilities improvement project. F is a resolution awarding a service provider agreement to CNC Lawn Care for the public works seating project. G is a resolution approving a settlement agreement and release regarding claims. H is a resolution approving renewal number 2 to the service provider agreement with Ben Wildy for the Floyd Cemetery mowing season. I is a resolution approving renewal option 2 for the service provider agreement with Brian Wildy for the weed abatement program. 8 are applications for cigarette, tobacco, nicotine, and vapor permits. 9's application for beer and liquor license. 10 are boards, commission, and committee minutes. Anyone to be heard on any of those items? All those items pass 5-0. Ms. Shaner's absent. 11 are hearing resolution annexing land in the city and providing for the imposition of the taxes against the property at 1142 225th Street and 2276 Allison Avenue. I'll move that. Second. Public hearings now open. Anyone to be heard? Yes. Come on up. State your name and address, please.
Hello, my name is Caitlin Town, spelled K-A-T-E-L-Y-N-N, last name Town, T-O-W-N-E. I reside at 3606 Culpeper Court in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak on behalf of my family that is at the address and question for the annexation. I stand before you not just as a concerned citizen, but as a steward of my family's legacy. The proposal for annexing our farm into the city's industrial plans is deeply troubling to me and my family, particularly my 84-year-old grandmother, Patricia Williams, who my middle name is named after. Our farm is not just a piece of land, it's where our roots run deep and where memories were made. It's where my grandmother, despite her health challenges, hopes to spend her remaining days. Under the strategic plan section, the proposal that's outlined that you are all reviewing states that you're doing this to, quote, grow Sioux City and capitalize on development opportunities to expand, unquote. And while these are commendable goals, it should not come at the expense of forcibly uprooting a lifelong resident from her home or annexing it, which the taxes would make it very difficult to stay on that land. So beyond the economic and logistical aspects outlined in the document that you're reviewing, there's an intangible value that cannot be quantified, the sentimental attachment that we have to the land. For example, there's a willow tree and it stands tall, and it's where my sisters and I used to pretend that it was Grandmother Willow for Pocahontas movie. And we have tied tire swings to the tree's limbs, and we've created our own little haven amidst the fields. The thought of losing not just the land, but also the memories it holds is heartbreaking. My grandmother's wish is simple: to die in the land that she loves, surrounded by familiar sights and sounds, including that beloved willow tree. And is that too much to ask for someone who has dedicated her life to this community by taking care of adults with special needs? She is now retired, but that is what she has done throughout her life. Moreover, it's essential to recognize the significant investment that we've made to ensure the property is accessible for her being disabled. Should the annexation proceed, the burden of replicating these accommodations for her new home would place an undue economic strain on our family, particularly given my grandmother's fixed income. This would not only jeopardize her housing security, but also undermine her well-being and quality of life. Furthermore, I want to highlight that we are willing to sell, but we have not been offered enough for something comparable for my family. And if the city wants to, from the document, quote, capitalize on the development of potential of our land, then shouldn't that come or be offered somewhat of a fair price to our family? Shouldn't they ensure that we're not left displaced or struggling to rebuild our lives elsewhere when the cost of housing is astronomical? I urge the council to consider not just the financial gains, but also the moral imperative to protect the well-being and the dignity of its citizens. There must be alternatives that allow for progress without sacrificing the sanctity of home and family. Thank you for your attention and consideration to this issue.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else be heard?
I reside at 215 North Penstamon Avenue, Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Thank you. Like I said, my mom, she's 84 years old. She couldn't make it tonight. She's not feeling well. She's, amputee disabled, has one leg, breast cancer survivor, and she just wants to be in her home. And last two years, the city has showed up and they've said, well, either you sell or we're going to annex. Either way is fine with us, sell or annex. And so this has put my mom under a lot of stress, who's resided there for 50 years. You got to understand, this woman is stressed. She's worried about the future, this house that she's had, this legacy that she wants to pass on. And the tax rate, I've been trying to find out from the city, what are they going to tax it at? They're like, well, heavy industry, so you may be taxed higher. Okay, you're under ag land rate, but that could go to a different rate. So there's a lot of uncertainty. I can't answer for my mom. My mom just wants answers. What's going to be the tax rate? What's going to be the future of her land? Is the city going to overreach and say eminent domain? I mean, my mom, 50 years before that.
Let me clarify that. We cannot do eminent domain.
Okay.
Unless there's a road or a pipeline or something that we have to run through with the property. You cannot do eminent domain in Iowa.
Okay, even though there's city water, the water plant's right next door. Okay.
We had to buy that at market price. And the only way you can get eminent domain is anywhere in the city where you run a water or sewer line. You can
For a public good.
for a
Public
public improvement.
project.
We can't take private property,
Okay.
just so you know that.
Okay, thank you. The city, though, the tax rate, it's so uncertain what it's going to be. I mean, it's not going to be an improvement. She's going to be paying more taxes unless it can be proven that this is going to be cheaper than what she is. She's on a fixed income. We don't see the benefit of this, how it benefits her. And she's worried because she was annexed or eminent domain, previous property in Sioux City 50-some years ago. And she's just worried, is this my last place? Do I have to move? And if I have to move, do I have to move to something lesser? Because what they're offering is, you look at the housing market in Sioux City, 13 some acres, you can't get any, for what the city's offering, you can't even get anything close. I would challenge anybody to find something comparable for what the city's offering. And I don't know, why the city needs that land. There's other land they could annex. I don't know if it's for mitigation, PFAS, whatever. It's just going to put an unburdened due on my mom. That's all I got.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Both made excellent presentations, but I don't know if we have all of the facts. I just need some guidance and some help and clarification, because I'm not sure. The zoning doesn't automatically change, does it?
Right now, it's zoned county general industrial. When it comes into the city, it would normally come in zoned rural residential unless we change it. And we were assuming we'd change it to city general industrial to make, so there wouldn't be any changes. Annexation does not equal moving out. It will still be their property. They can still live in there as long as they want to.
I want to go back. Why would, if it's county industrial, and we can make it residential, that actually, with the rollback, is to their advantage, right? Is that not right?
I don't know.
Well, you got a 44% or 56% rollback this year on residential property. If she's in the county and she's getting taxed at industrial rate,
County
there's no
industrial.
rollback on that, is there? Well, very minimal, 8% or something, right?
I don't know.
Well, I think that's important, because the tax increase that they're talking about may not come to reality depending on what we do when we bring it in. I think that's terribly important, and quite frankly, we're not annexing this because we plan on them doing anything with their property. We're doing it because it's an island and that the state wants to do that. But
That's correct, Mayor.
But I think that's a big question mark that should be answered before we.
Well, there's nothing that says we have to rezone to GI. We can review that. We can review that and take what's take what's less.
But what I'm trying to say is they're concerned about taxes for their mother. We can all agree that's something they should worry about.
We're proposing the 10-year transition of taxes, which the state code allows for annexation. So right now, the level is 15.76. The value is 124. With the transition of taxes, it'll be about an extra $200 a year for the first 2 years, and it'll transition from there.
Doesn't answer my question. I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying. It doesn't answer my question. I don't know the county system, okay? But I got to believe it's very similar to ours, that houses get rolled back in the county because it's a state law. So if you change that to residential, I think they probably will experience cheaper taxes rather than more.
I can review that. And
We can confirm that too, Brent, because that was my thinking as well, is that you'd have the rollback factor for residential properties. And if it's annexed, you said it automatically comes in as
rural residential.
rural residential. So I think there would be a rollback there, but I'd want to confirm that as well. I was thinking this was ag land at first, but it's not. You said it was county
down there and did a
county industrial. But the house would remain the same. The tree would remain there. Everything would remain in place the way they're living now, correct? With the annexation, we won't touch any of that. So it really becomes a property tax question. And I think I'm with the mayor. I think a residential it would call for a rollback factor, so it might help them and their taxes. We can double check that.
I can review that and come up with an answer for you.
That would be great.
Yeah, that would really be helpful, because I think everything else would stay the same in place, and this lady could enjoy her home and doesn't have to have the stress of anybody coming in and doing anything, including purchasing. I mean, if that's been discussed and couldn't come to terms, I think Brent, this is a good solution that you've come up with.
Terms and
okay, let's check that out. We can defer this till next week. And
So the two questions here. The the proposal includes the graduated increase
If they
in
need it.
taxes as allowed by state law. I understand you're asking an additional question about whether the rollback would apply, and if it's residential, that should be less. I think it would be, but we can verify that.
We'll verify, because there may not need to be this transition. It may already be cheaper
Right.
if you do that. Okay?
Does that make sense to the two of you? I mean, I apologize, it sounds like you both drove. I mean, assuming that you live in those residences in Lincoln and Sioux Falls. So I apologize that you had to make the drive down here to get that answer, but I hope what we've discussed here at least gives you a little comfort knowing that, no, we're not trying to, yeah, please, please. But just, I hope gives you a little comfort that no one's trying to force anyone out of their home, your mother Shirley, and I can understand you make accessibility or mobility improvements to your home to them be able to stay in there. So we would want that, and then what the mayor and Dan are proposing is just we'll analyze the taxes because you might actually get a net savings.
Yeah, I really appreciate you hearing us out on that, because for the last couple of years, there's been several letters from the city saying you need to do this or else, right? And it's just really creating this environment of stress for her, and her health is not well. And so I really just want to get a solution. Like, I want to present the options. I want to be able to provide them more information of like this. I don't think we fully understand what's going to go there too. So like whatever you're going to put there, she's living right next to.
We don't know the answer to that. We just.
You all don't know the answer?
We don't
Okay.
have a, I mean, I can tell you tomorrow we might have a project, but today I can tell you, we just bought the land purely for future industrial growth,
Okay.
so.
That's helpful to know, and
Yeah.
and we'll relay that to her, that like at this time you can't provide that to us, and so we'll take all of that and try to get her in the best situation. But I really appreciate you hearing us out. Thanks.
And I just want to add that, I'm sorry your mother felt that way about the stress and the letters, but.
Grandmother.
Or grandmother, sorry. But truly, our letters that we send out are to negotiate. It's not you either do it or, and we don't intend to ever put that on anyone when we're asking if they're interested in selling. But if she took it that way, she took it that way, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry she did, but
Well, there has been some back and forth trying to negotiate a price for the land, and it's, I don't know, it doesn't seem like we're both coming at it with like a negotiation standpoint. That was their impression, that like it
Well,
wasn't negotiable, so.
Again, the most we would, probably the most we'd ever need is a portion of the back if we have to put some sort of a utility across there to serve that ground that you're talking about. But that would be a negotiated easement, and we're not asking for that today, or it's not part of any plans that we have right now, so.
Okay,
Okay?
all right, thank you.
Am I right on that?
Yes.
Yes. Brent, my name is Brent Nelson, I'm senior planner with the city. Sorry about that.
Doherty.
Okay.
so we want to defer.
Well, why don't we close the
Economic and
hearing?
Community Development Director.
Let's close the hearing, and then I'll move for a deferral for 1 week. And make sure that you get them the answer. You guys got contact? If not, get contact information for them so that
Absolutely.
you can tell them what the tax will be. Okay.
Second
We'll do
that.
that, Mayor. Thank you.
Moore,
Aye.
O'Kane,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Waters.
Aye.
12 is a hearing and resolution assessing a $300 civil penalty against Circle S Riverside for violation of the cigarette laws. I'll move to delete the item. Fine's been paid.
Second.
O'Kane,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Waters,
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
13 is a hearing and resolution announcing the intent of the city to accept the proposal for the sale of land in the Donner Park Urban Renewal Area and scheduling a hearing in the property of the 6,000 block of Al Haynes Drive and 6100 block of South Bridge Drive, deferred from March 18th, 2024. Somebody want to move that?
I'll move that.
There's a second. Public hearing's now open. Anyone to be heard? Seeing none, the hearing is closed.
Well, I believe that staff needs to propose an amendment.
Sorry. The hearing is still open.
Renee Billings, Economic Development Manager. We would propose that the resolution announcing the intent of the city to accept the proposal of Midwest Hotels LLC for the sale of land in the Donner Park Urban Renewal Area, fixing the date for public hearing and providing for notice thereof for the 600 block of Al Haynes Drive.
I'll move that. Move that.
Second.
So at the closing, the land will sell. The hammer goes down. I mean, do we know that for sure?
We come back on May 6th for the hearing. What's your question? At that time, we can provide a development agreement
Yeah.
for approval.
And we'll know when the land's going to sell. And will we have a revisionary clause like we do on others so people are not just speculating?
Correct. There'll be terms as to what must be constructed, the time frame for construction, proof of financial responsibility, and outline what the project will look like. That would be in the form of a signed contract that would come before the council for consideration at the May hearing date. And the council at that time could elect to approve the contract or start over.
Because I've seen kind of an extended time frame for this to happen, like up to 5 years or something, I think I saw somewhere in something you put out. They're not going to start the hotel tomorrow, are they?
No, I don't. No, we'd have to finalize a development agreement with.
No, I know that. Are they going to start it, how soon after that you sign the development agreement?
I believe there's
I
still.
always thought it was down the road.
I think he said 18 months for it'd be completed in 18 months was part of his proposal.
To begin construction or to be up?
And to begin and to complete, both. We typically, but.
Because it's really critical to me. You're buying a lot of land here, and we don't even know the brand of the hotel. Those type of things to me are terribly important.
I agree.
That we're not just selling to a land speculator that doesn't have necessarily at this stage a development.
It's never been our policy to sell city land on speculation, and this is critical land to the airport and to the city, and we will definitely have benchmarks in any agreement we would bring forward, Mayor.
Okay.
And we have done this with other developments. If the council is interested, we have indicated what type of specification for the hotel would be acceptable to the council and written that into the agreement.
I think that's perfect. Anybody else? The hearing is closed.
On the amendment, Scott?
Aye.
Waters?
Aye.
Moore?
Abstain, conflict of interest.
O'Kane?
Aye.
On the regular? Are we
You
electronic?
can vote electronically on this one.
It passes 3, Mr. Moore abstained, and Julie's absent. 14 is an ordinance amending Chapter 10.30 of the Municipal Code entitled Miscellaneous City Rules of the Road to remove the word jake breaking. I'll move that.
Second.
Anyone to be heard? Passes 4 to 0. Anybody opposed to waiving the statutory rule?
No.
Move that.
Second.
Scott?
Aye.
Waters?
Aye.
Moore?
Aye.
O'Kane?
Aye.
I'll move second, third.
Second.
Waters?
Aye.
Moore?
Aye.
O'Kane?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye. 15 is an ordinance repealing section 4.84-130 of the municipal code regarding body piercing regulations requiring the issuance of a permit identification card. Wonder how many people actually did that, got permits. I'll
Is it
move.
9?
Approximately 9. The average is 9 per year.
Gotta believe there were more people than that doing piercing in town, but I'll move it anyway, so.
Second.
Passes 4-0. Anybody opposed to waiving the statutory rule?
No.
I'll move it.
Second.
Moore,
Aye.
O'Kane,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Waters.
Aye.
Move second and third.
Second.
O'Kane,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Waters,
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
16 is a resolution awarding purchase orders to Arms Unlimited for magazines, slings, EOTech, Red Dot sights to Keisler Police Supply for gun lights and rifle cases to Sioux Sales Company for magazines, long cases, and RDS Red Dot sights, and to Range Masters for rifles for the police department deferred for March 18, 2024. I'll move it.
Second.
It's not worth the little bit that, just let it go.
Because did it change much? I mean,
No, not enough to worry about. But it's supposed to, hopefully next time it's supposed to be brought to our attention in the RCA, right? If it's within range. Passes 4-0. Citizen concerns. Any citizen want to be heard, please come to the mic, state your name and address for the record, please. Seeing none, we'll go to Mr. O'Kane.
Try and work through my list quickly here. First off, OPA time is open. If you guys haven't been to OPA time yet, OPA time is open. Go to OPA time. They had to close down on Sunday because of how much business they've done, which I think is a great sign. That is probably my #1 place to eat for fast food on the west side, personally. So I'm super excited about that. Mr. Moore and I had the pleasure of attending the Women of Excellence Gala, which was great. It was great getting to honor so many women in our community that were great recipients and one man. Some of our own staff, Jessica, congratulations, and many people that are affiliated with the City of Sioux City, either through employment or serving on various boards, were honored. And it was the special thing that I took from that night was we were surrounded by the history of women who had won in years prior to this. So just taking a walk around the room during the event, you got to see all of the previous winners of Women of Excellence throughout the years and women who have contributed to Sioux City throughout our history. And I think that made it a very special night. It was a little bit of a history lesson. I'm kind of a history nerd, so that's why I flocked to that, but it was very enjoyable.
Captured it very well.
Yeah. The last thing that I wanted to mention, and this was brought to our attention by Mr. Padmore, is the Sioux City Metros won the Division II National Championship, so congratulations to them. That was a big deal. I sent that to my brother, who is a big hockey fan, and he was excited. So, and he's from St. Paul, so you know he means it. And that's everything.
Finance Director Teresa Fitch's son scored the go-ahead goal and the sealing goal in the championship game.
Okay. With that good news, we'll move on to Mr. Waters.
Yeah. I just wanted to mention a few things. The first one, Mike could probably correct me on, but because maybe I'm a week off, but it's Transit Appreciation Week. And so I just wanted to mention those transit drivers that are doing so much throughout our community. As someone that used to use regular public transit and the bus system here in Sioux City, as well as CERTs and things like that, I think sometimes that's it's an occupation that goes underappreciated of just how much they are willing to do and go above and beyond. I mean, I look at a lot of our streets crews and our police officers and firefighters that go out in kind of treacherous weather, but I know sometimes when we're not able to stop service for very long, our bus drivers are surely feeling the duty to not only get their people where they need to go, but do so safely. And so, Mike, if you'll just please pass along my thanks and appreciation during this week especially, I would really appreciate that. Second thing is I wanted to mention the announcement of Chief Everett retiring. That's going to leave a big void on our fire department. Luckily, we think we have great men and women that serve this community. So I'm excited to see where we're able to go next, but he's served this community for a long time, and I really appreciate his service greatly. The next thing on my list was the Human Rights Commission. I'm actually excited they're here. I heard I wasn't able to attend. I was out of town for the Faces of Siouxland event, but I just wanted to recognize that over 3,000 people were in attendance and 90 organizations, including multiple city organizations, were represented. And so that's an event I really like going to. I hated to miss it this year, but just wanted to extend my appreciation and congratulations on a good event. And then the last thing I wanted to mention was I made it over to NAIA briefly, and I'm hoping to go back either tonight or tomorrow because we have the, second to final night. Championship for NAIA is tomorrow, and so we have those final rounds tonight. So I believe it starts at 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. And GPAC still has one team in it, right? Dort. So Dort plays at 8 p.m. tonight. But I just wanted to give a shout out to the crew at OVG 360, not only for coordinating NAIA, but I mean, they've had 5 straight events over 5 days. A lot of people coming through. Sam Hunt saw more than 5,000 people attending. And then multiple events at the Orpheum simultaneously. And then I know they're going to be taking over management of the convention center here right around the corner. So they have a lot on their plate, and I just appreciate the community stepping up and not only going to those events, but supporting those athletes and doing everything we can to welcome them to our community. So that's all I have, Mayor.
Okay, Dan?
A couple of things I agree with Mr. Waters on the multicultural fair. It was really well attended. Seemed like all of the exhibits were really spread out and set up really nicely. And the entertainment was good. The food was excellent. So it was amazing, actually. It was an amazing event this year. So thank you for putting that on. The second item is just something maybe to bring back next week, and I apologize ahead of time if you've done a memo on this, but I'm just wondering how our parking ramps are working with the automation that's been put in place. Has there been any issues or, I'm not even, issues such as whether if you don't have the coins, you don't park?
It's all digital.
That kind of thing. So just an update on that, please, for the parking. That's all I have, Mayor.
I guess I would like to know, is it the police, fire chief, is that still a civil service
Yes,
process?
it is. Yeah, it's civil service.
Is that required by law?
Yes.
State of Iowa law.
It is?
Chapter
Okay, so you're getting other fire chiefs in the area to serve on the committee?
Yes.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Waters,
Aye.
Moore,
Aye.
O'Kane,
Aye.
Gott.
Right.